Hello, AV Educate. My name is Jonathan McDougal, and I am taking the Workbox Challenge. And today I'm going to be getting into a little bit more than just my Workbox. I'm going to be talking about just my kit in general, how my travel kit differs from what I'm available to provide in town to my clients, and then just some stuff I keep deployed at home to run through scenarios and to just practice and get better at what I'm doing and try to prepare myself with information I've been given for my next complicated event. So I currently am using my phone to record. I have created a little camera car out of a dolly, a gorilla pod with a phone stand and a step ladder all gaffed together is how you're getting me. And I'm going to be going back and forth from basically a static shot like this to I'm going to take my gorilla pod and use it as kind of like a selfie stick to walk around and show you some things, and then switch back to static shots on my little camera cart. I'll try to get through this as quick as possible because I know I need to stay concise, and there's no way I'm going to be able to keep this within 10 minutes. But like I said, my name is Jonathan McDougal. I'm a local event operator in the Central Florida area. My department, my purview is primarily video heavy. I do a lot of switching. I operate many different kinds of switchers. If you have any questions about which ones I operate, I'll link in comments. I have switchers that I've been studying but I haven't operated yet, like the E2 and the Aqualine and the Spider that I'm trying to learn more about. But most of the switchers below that level I can operate. I've taken classes in the Carbonite as well. I'm not ready to operate it on show, but I regularly operate ATEM 4MEs, ATEM 2MEs, Rollins, TriCasters, different Barco products like the Image Pro and the 902, different analog wave products like the Pulse 4K, the Ascender 4K. These are all products I'm familiar enough with that these days I'm learning new switchers fairly quickly because it's just a change in syntax. I understand the concepts. But beyond switching, within the V1 world, I also do graphics with editing. I can manage multiple screens, multiple resolutions, playback, Playback Pro, MIDI. We even have to use VLC sometimes. Resolume is a media server. I've got a gig over this next couple days as a Resolume operator, center screen director position. I also do some camera work. I also do some light camera direction and camera shading. I do virtual events, whether on site or here from home, and we'll talk more about that later. But Zoom, vMix, WebEx, MS Teams, and the like. I sometimes assist with LED wall install, but I'm not an LED wall programmer. I've taken the class, but I'm not proficient yet. I do projection. I can do a 2-screen blend or a 2-screen converge, but a 4-screen converged blend is probably at the end of my range of capabilities. But essentially most topics video and then also recording, and so I have to have some audio interaction. I also have lighting interaction with lighting regarding getting the camera shots right. And so I don't want to talk much more about myself. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and we're going to go into selfie stick mode, gorilla mode on my gorilla pod, and take it from there. All right, pausing. Okay, we are going to move right into my organizational process for explaining this portion of the video. I think this will make more sense later on, the way I describe different parts of my kit and how I move them from one section to another. But ultimately, I'm trying to categorize stuff in different ways because my kid is constantly changing. My kid is constantly evolving, and I don't always need the same stuff on every show. But I like to have it available if something pops up and I realize I need it. So I'm going to get right into it. Right here, this is my Pelican backpack. I love this thing. The main reason I love it is it's got a waterproof, crush-proof laptop compartment that keeps my show laptop that I use for control. I loan to the show for graphics sometimes. I do all kinds of stuff with it. Test patterns for projectors, etc. I'm typically putting my most used hand tools in this, and some drinks and some snacks, a rain poncho in case I walk out to leave or come in and it's raining, bits and bobs. But I mean, basically this is the primary role of this thing is to go on my back and carry my laptop and drinks and snacks, my most used hand tools, right? Over here, this is my primary Pelican for local use. I've got it emptied out right now just to make explaining components easier later on. But I've got these different bags to hold components, different random things. It's just there's not a bunch of loose stuff floating around the bag. Same thing with these pouches. Sometimes I take the pouches out to make more room in the case if necessary. This is my primary case. And then this is my Air. This is my black Pelican Air. This is for traveling. This would be a carry-on. In the case of a carry-on, I'm not going to be able to bring my Pelican backpack if I'm traveling. And so my laptop is going in this laptop case and is in my smaller carry-on item. I may get rid of these pouches, to make more space if I need to. But ultimately, I'm going to have my luggage. I'm going to basically take most of my tools and stuff out of this thing, put it in my luggage, and pack this with clothes, maybe a set of headphones and my diagnostic monitor, keep those close at hand. But all the rest of my tools go into my luggage. And I pack this full of clothes and crap. And then when I get there to the hotel, I switch. And I pull all the clothes out of this and put all my tools into it and show up to the show with this as a regular Pelican. Then I have to do that all in reverse before I fly home. But that's kind of my workflow there. But that's for travel gigs. For local gigs, I have the ability to bring more stuff than that. And I like to do that. I like to be able to do that for reasons we're going to discuss later on. But ultimately, from now on, what we're going to talk about is in-town shows where I can bring maximal gear. So I'm going to call the green one Category 1. That is, and the Pelican. These are both Pelican backpack. These are both Category 1. These are things that come into the show with me when I first walk in. My black Pelican, we'll disregard that. This is Category 2. This stays in the car. It's stuff that I think is very likely I'll need, but much less likely I don't have room for it. I can always come out to the car and get it. Right? That's Category 2. Category 3 is this big old mamma jamma that I bought from Justin Butler for a great price. It's a Nanook 975. Holds a gigantic amount of stuff. I call this my gear reservoir. This stays in the car. It holds a bunch of random cables and other things that, maybe more construction related tools and things like this that I think I probably won't need, but it's sure nice to have when you do need them. And on top of here is a bunch of little bits and bobs and adapters and stuff that I'm going to explain later on. But we're going to call this Category 3. Category 4 is stuff that I leave at home that I could bring to work, but I'm most likely using as part of my home kit to run simulations, to run scenarios, to try to better be ready for my next gig, and to just better learn these tools and techniques in general to practice at home. So I'm going to start with category 4 related stuff. Sorry, my house is messy. I'm trying to be ready for this. So category 4 related stuff. This is my desktop. This is Darth Vader. You'll notice I've got Lord Vader. He's etched into the glass. This thing is a beast. I designed it. I paid somebody else to build it, and then I've done a bunch of modification and improvement on it. This is my girl, even though her name is Lord Vader. This is my chick, my ride or die chick. This is a powerful machine with a lot of cool stuff under the hood. If you're interested, I'll post specs in the comments. Let me know. But I do a little bit of light video editing with this, like trimming tops and tails. I could do an audio adjustment to a recording. I could take a recording that's half a frame or a frame out of sync and quickly resync it using Adobe Premiere. I could re-render it from ProRes into an MP4. These are things I can do quickly. I do virtual work with this. I do from home. I do research and training running through switcher simulators and scenarios with this. It's very powerful. I love it. You know, there's beastlier machines out there, but for something that I built 3 years ago, this thing is an absolute animal. Lord Vader. I designed it to look like Sith technology, and I think it does. The liquid cooling system actually has red fluid running through it with red light shooting through the red fluid. So it almost looks like a piece of biotech. Anyways, I'll stop nerding out on that. But, you know, I love this thing. It's my pride and joy. Over here, I got some Resolume up. Like I said, tomorrow I am center screen director, Resolume operator. I'm going to be running through some scenarios later on. If I was doing a virtual event, I would use this. This is a MikroTik cloud managed switch that can handle up to 10 gigabytes. I have 1 gigabyte fiber here, which is very reliable, so I obviously don't need the 2 SFP fiber ports. Oh, sorry, I'm turned around. But this thing is an animal of a switch. I've really only barely scratched the surface of what I can do with it, but it's been bulletproof for anything virtual I've done at home. And so I'm going to pause it here and get a sip of something and move on with category 4. All right, guys, we're back with a little bit of discussion of category 4 into category 1 and how they all mix. This is kind of my workstation right here. I don't always keep it set up like this. A lot of this I kind of set up for illustrative purposes for this this talk. But I run through scenarios like this regularly, and I'm just going to get down into it, down and dirty, component by component right now. So here you have my control laptop. This is an MSI laptop. That's the model and make. Also, I've min-maxed it. It's got way better SSDs and RAM, and I mean, I've tweaked this thing beyond how it comes factory. But this is, you know, my main control laptop. I use it to, you know, manage switchers, to sometimes loan it to the show as a graphical device, to do test patterns. You know, to download files on, you know, some kind of hotspot or whatnot for the client. But I mean, this comes with me everywhere, in town or out of town. This is a category 1 item. And I've got it on this stand. You'll notice this stand. This is a laptop stand. I like this stand a lot. This was recommended by Justin Butler, once again. I did have 2 of these, but the other one broke. But I ultimately want to own about 4 of these so that I can cascade laptops in a tight video village and have top to bottom, laptop, 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 stand to stand. Right now I only own 1, but I'm about to own 4. Here is a gaming headset with a retractable mic. I use this for on-show Zoom meetings. I can have the main Zoom computer routing all the primary audio in and out of the event, whereas a secondary Zoom monitoring computer, I can hook this up to it and the microphone and the earmuffs be programmed properly so that I can talk back to Zoom through the headset like I was gaming. It's great. And so here you have my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. This is a fantastic machine. It's got a bunch of inputs and outputs for what it costs. Also, it can record every single one of these inputs simultaneously to ISO file to a drive like a Samsung T7. This comes out on show with me sometimes, but in general, this is a category 4 item. This stays home. I run simulations on it. I set up looks. I experiment with it. The same software I use for this device, I use for ATEM 4MEs or ATEM Constellations. And so I make program in buttons with this and get some things ready the night before. And so that when I show up with my Stream Deck, ready to do some automation, I've already got some things programmed, and I just have to change the device they're looking at in the companion software. So, I've learned a lot at home by owning my own switcher. I wish I was renting it more with my services. It is available. We're just going to go through things on my desk here. So here we have my monitor. This is the most important thing in my Category 1 kit. This monitor, I've got it hooked to a GorillaPod right now, which is a camera accessory that I could hook a camera to this. I could hook anything that takes a 1420 connection and attach it to this. This monitor is in a frame that's designed for it. But essentially with this monitor, what I'm doing on setup is I'm testing cables before we run long cables. I am using it to diagnose troublesome problems in the signal flow. We can very quickly with this determine whether something is a bad cable or a bad port or a bad setting. It supports SDI and HDMI ins and outs. And also every time you plug something in, it supports up to 4K in a lot of different resolutions. Whatever resolution and frame rate it's getting pops up in the top right up here. And so if I'm getting the wrong resolution or frame rate than what a device needs to see, I can see that that's the problem. And so the most important use of this device is as a diagnostic monitor. But during show, I set it up with a camera feed running to it and the peaking turned up, and I use it to look at my camera shot and tell camera over comms if they're out of focus. I can turn false color on and identify whether they've got iris, or I can shade with it. Here, I brought up a toolkit that I built that the monitor supports. Here we have vector scope, waveform. We have RGB parade here. I can change the RGB. Okay, so that's a YUV parade, giving us a visual analysis. That's just a Y parade, which is basically just luminance. That's just luminosity being measured. RGB, YUV. Yeah, those are the parades it supports. Or I can turn that off. And then sometimes I'm using this monitor as a camera monitor. And what I'll do, I ordered a small rig arm and a small rig clamp. And I can undersling this to the camera and have this set to peaking to analyze my focus. And the monitor that comes with the camera on top of it, I might set to false color to analyze my iris. So I mean, a lot of versatility with this tool. Most importantly to me, it is for diagnosis and troubleshooting, because that saves me hours that I don't always have in the setup process in determining whether we've got a bad cable, a bad port, a bad setting or what? What is the problem? This helps me get to the bottom of it much quicker than you can without one of these. So here, this is my camera kit, my camera monitor kit. Comes with a charger. I've got 2 batteries for the monitor so I can use it without plugging in an Edison. I've also got a kit here that I bought that goes on this power supply. Anything that takes the same amperage or wattage, I can change the plug. And essentially, if we have a device that is missing a power supply or has a bad power supply, any of these plugs, I can potentially demonstrate that it's a bad power supply, but the device works. Great thing to have. It saved my butt several times. Saved the event's butt multiple times. Category 1 item. So here we got my printer, category 4 item. Here's a script I printed up for tomorrow and be marking up later on with all my transitions. So I'm ready for my Resolume transitions within this script. We got a couple monitors here. I'm not using them right now, but I could. Here is a USB 3.0 hub that's powered by its own power supply. I could give the functionality to a machine to additional video ins or outs, DVI or HDMI, multiple different types of USB. It's got audio routing. It can add a Cat5 port to this, a USB-B port. So this is just a really versatile device. This is a Wavelink hub. Here you've got my backup laptop. I've had this thing for a long time, but it still works like a champ. Here you got an audio board. You're asking, why would a video guy need an audio board? Well, because I play around and experiment with it and learn more about audio, because the worlds of audio and video do intersect at the V1 level more than you realize they do. Also here we got got some chip charts, another chip chart. These are things I'm experimenting with learning more about. Here we have white and gray color balance cards that are at the proper IRE for true camera calibration. And so that is what I've got here in this work area. I'm going to pause it and move to my next work area and go to a static shot. All right, guys, I'm going to jump right back into it. This is the meat and potatoes of my presentation. And unfortunately, these are not in a perfect order. These are kind of mishmashed order. So I'm going to try to get through them one by one and explain some relevance to some of these that you may have not thought about. That was the goal of all this, is not just to list the tools I bring, but why I bring them. Some of these things maybe you didn't think of. And if you think of something I haven't thought of, please link in the comments. I've gotten a lot of inspiration from other workbox posts, such as Eli's and Geronimo's. But I'm going to start moving through this stuff. And this is not in any particular order. Here we go. So, emergencies, in case you're feeling run down, some Tylenols, some hand sanitizer. Everybody's getting sick on the show. You better be using a lot of this. You want to be catching that COVID and missing 2 weeks of work. I've been there. It's no fun. So here I've got an IDE SATA card reader. I recently had a project where a client sent me drives on a show we did to do some video editing. I purchased the drives so I could copy those files and re-render them and edit them the way they wanted. Now I use it on show if I know I'm using SATA drives that they probably bring their own card reader, but I can have one card reader transferring the files, and one I can be scrubbing through the rest of the files or using as a second way to dump drives at the same time. Really cool thing to bring. I've got nothing but smiles from clients from bringing it. Oh, here we go. Here's a little stack of tape. Gaff tape, as always. Sometimes your clients don't bring real gaff tape. They bring the shiny stuff. It's not very sticky. I like to at least have my own, if nothing else, mainly because every single component, like a decimator, like a DI, anything, you know, a 4-way DA, SDI, or HDMI that I've got rigged around my V1 world, I like to glue down to the table with some basically rolled up into a little swivel, make some double-sided tape out of this, and I glue everything down. Is my favorite thing about gaff, honestly. Real gaff, not the shiny stuff. Here I've got some E-tape. You never know when you're going to need it. Black, and I've got silver if it's something very specific where we need to hide our tape on probably, you know, the truss towers if a client's very particular. 2 different kinds of label tape. I always bring my own label tape. I don't have time to look for theirs. I bring my own. Label everything, label everything, label everything. So here I've got 3 different sizes of screwdrivers. Self-explanatory, we need these all the time. You don't want to use the wrong size. You're going to strip the screw and maybe even mess yourself up real badly. I got 2 different kinds of scissors. I've got regular scissors, and these scissors are actually specifically for cutting wiring. This is probably a category 1 item. This is probably a category 3 item. I'm probably not breaking this out unless I'm doing permanent install and actually terminating my own cabling, which doesn't happen very often anymore. But I still like to have it in the kit. These are electrician scissors. These are not in any particular order. Like I said, this is a scale for weighing my luggage. I want to be at 49 pounds, no more. From what I learned from Geronimo Tarif, sometimes there's about a half a pound or a pound of variance in the accuracy of these scales. So you want, when you're really loading up your main checked baggage with a bunch of heavy stuff and putting your light stuff in your carry-on like I do, you want to make sure you do not go over your 49 pounds. And then before you come home, you want to make sure you did the same thing, because things may have shifted around and you don't know how much it weighs anymore, and you cut it close. So, crucial tool. I think I got this for $15 on Amazon. And if anybody wants any links to any of these items, you know, I ask and I'll provide them in the comments. I'm not going to go through a detailed make and model of every item. So here I've got a waist bar, self-leveling laser. What I would use this for, there's a category 2 item. I'm only going to bring it in if I think I need it. Basically, I'm using this for finding the center point and making it true level, not the false level of the floor, to do a 2-screen blend, side to side, a blend. Or I may loan it to the LED department because they forgot to bring one, so that they can make sure, because the floor is unlevel and they need their bottom. It's a ground supported LED wall, and the bottom layer of hardware has to be perfectly level. You can establish it with this. It's a great thing to have. This, you know, this isn't the fanciest one. I'd like to get a better one, but it's better to have one than none. So, self-leveling laser. This can do a horizontal line or a vertical. I'm using the vertical mostly to basically set a center in a screen, and usually only if I'm doing a 2-screen blend. So moving on, I've got wire strippers. These are probably category 3 items. They stay in the car unless I need them. These old school wire strippers, and these are the awesome new school. These are Kleins. These are the fancy $50 strippers, automatic ones. I mainly have used these for, you know, home improvement stuff. I do all my own home improvement and for permanent install. But if you do need them for corporate, it's nice to have them out. I don't bring this in my Pelican. This is in the car in case we need it, right? Snips, heavy duty snips. You can cut sheet metal with these. I bring a lot of stuff that I don't think I will need, but that might save scenic or lighting or audio's ass. And regularly I have a tool that did not make it into their workbox or they did not anticipate, and I can save their ass on a local show. So it's a category 3 item. I can cut metal. I can cut all kinds of stuff with this. It's a beastly cutter. Why do I have a passport in my kit? Because you know what? I don't like to bring my wallet into work and maybe lose it. You know what? I bring my passport, 1 credit card, and $20 for the Starbucks or whatever in case they don't take a credit card. And
I leave my driver's license in the car. That way there's no chance I'm going to lose my driver's license. And I don't bring every credit card I own into work. It's stupid. So a lot of times I leave it home or I leave it in the safe in the hotel. So I bring my passport on the job site in case the back hallway security doesn't want me to bring gear in without some ID. I don't want my wallet with me every single second. I know how I am. I'm going to lose it. DI, Behringer DI. You know, I'm a video guy. They usually give me a DI, but you know what? Sometimes it's nice to have your own. There's circumstances where I'm happy to have it. This is probably a category 3 item that I might bring in if they just don't have a DI for me and I need one and I could loan it to them or rent it to them. It's a Behringer too. It's better than the ones that they give us. Here we got some other random stuff. Earplugs to protect your hearing when the audio guy is ringing the room out. He likes to really let it squeal, or he's like trying to see how loud the PA gets and he's blowing your eardrums out. You're at a festival, loud GS Florida Convention Center with a bunch of power tools running. Have your earplugs. Chapstick. Don't get dried out and your lips start splitting. I've been there. It takes a month to heal. It sucks. Every time you bite a burger, it splits again. Don't do that. I've got some AAA batteries. Usually every show has plenty of AA's and not enough AAA's. Some of my stuff takes AAA's. If some of my stuff needs AA's, I'm going to borrow it from the show. But if I need AAA's, I got them. Carabiners. Why do I bring carabiners? Because you know what, man? Carabiner can save your life. This is a retractable carabiner. Show you an example of this in action. Here is a C-wrench with a retractable line and a carabiner. I can just snap this to my waist. If I go up on a lift and I've got to do something with my C-wrench, if I drop it from 80 feet up, I don't kill somebody. So anytime you've got a tool that you're using up on truss, way up high on a lift, I like putting it on this. If it doesn't have a hole, you can gaff tape the living crap out of it. It's better than nothing. But yeah, don't ever, be working tools on high up on truss without a way for it not to kill somebody beneath you. And also once, Scenic was missing a Verilok, and I was able to save the whole show with one carabiner without them having to go to the store. Or, they couldn't find a Verilok. 2 different kinds of razor knives, the big fatty and the little skinny. Little skinny is good for opening boxes with components where you don't want to damage the cardboard. Big fatty is good for cutting, plastic shrink wrap around cases. I like those. And for more precision work, I have a precision craft knife kit. It's a bunch of different blades. This is more for niche projects where you really have to get into a tight area. Each of these are as sharp as a scalpel. I don't need them that often, but when I do need them, they're very much appreciated. A little bit of audio stuff. So these are my Sennheiser headphones. These are 3.5 millimeter. I have 1/4 inch adapters. If I'm at all responsible for recording, either they take a 3.5 or a 1/4 inch. I can do either for monitoring recording. Also, if I'm, as a Zoom operator, I can monitor the back end of the Zoom like this. So these are a category 1 item. That's how I do that. And I keep a pair of earbuds with me just in case, I break these. I fuck these up. I lose these. Here I am with some earbuds as a backup. Slide advancer. The really nice one, like the $80 one with here, I'll turn it on. It's got a really bright green laser. Boom. Why do I bring this? Because sometimes the clicker is froggy, or it's not working right, or you don't know if the battery's dying, or if it's just old and bad, or it's the clickers that were given to them have a really low visibility red laser and are low end clickers that are provided to them, but they're doctors or scientists with content heavy presentations. that they need to point out every little word they're talking about. Well, this is a nice, powerful laser. It's a nice touch to be able to whip it out and let the client know that you loaned them your personal gear. Nobody is ever mad at you for doing that. So electrical. Here's electrical. See, what do I have here? I've got one style of tri-tap, another style of tri-tap. You never know if they run out and it's just the one thing you need. Battery tester. All those random batteries sitting around on the desk. You don't know if they're full, they're empty, half full. You can tell real quick with that. This is an Edison tester. Plug this into an Edison cable. It gives you one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different error messages based on what could be wrong with that plug, or possibly indicating a deeper problem with the entire line. It's never a bad idea to anytime you're questioning whether you've got power coming out of a line, plug this into it. It doesn't take a battery. It takes the power from the line. So there's that. And then this is my multimeter. This is a really nice high-end Klein MM600 multimeter, however you want to say it. This is for metering power. You know, if you want to go higher end than this, then you got to spend the big bucks and get a Fluke. But if you're not ready to spend Fluke level money, get yourself a Klein. I think this is just about the best Klein you can get. I think this cost me a couple $100, but you can spend a couple $1,000 for a high-end Fluke meter. But yet, I think every engineer and technician should own and know how to work a multimeter. There's that. What have we here? So, it's a Jackery portable power device. I keep it charged up. I can charge devices by USB, Edison, or 12 volt, like a car lighter adapter. Why do I need this? Well, maybe I need power. My phone's about to die. The 2.0 USB connection in my car is not fast enough. I really need to navigate, and I'm getting a bunch of messages and files. I can charge off this in my car. If we don't have power yet on show site in a baseball field or something, I can bring this out. Everybody can charge their phones, their devices. Very cool thing to have. I mainly use it for camping, but it is useful for AV. Miko jump starter. Leave your car light on, run your battery down. I've jump started my car 3 times with this when my car battery was dead. It saved my butt 3 times since I bought it. I keep it in the car. Category 3 item. Here I've got binder to put scripts, run a show, crew list, any plot or diagrams I've gotten, pull lists. I can print if it's an elaborate show and I feel like printing it all up, I can put it in this and show up with everything and look more professional. These are notepads for me to take notes on, probably about inputs, outputs, different looks and presets and how I named them. Post-it notes. Everybody can use some post-it notes. If you got a lot going on, you need to remind yourself of stuff. So moving on. So lensing. This is a lens cleaning kit. I may want to blow the dust off a lens or a projector, camera lens or a projector, and then wipe it off. And this does that. It even has a lens fluid. These are lens wipes I use to wipe down my diagnostic monitor or my phone or my laptop. And this is a cool little Evolve lens kit I mainly use for like wiping down my sunglasses, or my phone. So that's lensing. All right, here we go. Measurement. My laser disto. This is how I measure distance when it doesn't need to be hyper precise and over long distances. Large tape measure. I need to be more precise. Small tape measure. And I even got a little fabric measure that can wrap around corners for precise measurements that need to wrap around a corner. Moving on to the right. This is a tape cutter. I've been trying to get more in the habit of using this. Cut tape with this instead of your multi-tool or your razor knife. You're less likely to gouge the cable and you're not dulling your knife. Several different cutters for multiple purposes. Needle nose and regular pliers. You never know when you need them. I keep two different C-wrenches. One a loaner, or if one walks away, and the main one is retractable. And I like a small C-wrench because sometimes you need a little tiny C-wrench for a bolt. Both Allen keys, metric and English. Primary and backup multi-tool. This is my primary. This is the one the pliers broke. If someone has to borrow one, they get this one, not this one. So I've got a bunch of, I've got pins, I've got Sharpies here. I've also got pink, yellow, and blue markup markers for marking up scripts, and a pencil in case I need to take notes to erase. This is a top snapper. This is for taking a very difficult to stretch screen and pull those snaps out. They're designed for pulling the canvas on boats, but they work great for cold leather screens that just came off a truck from up north and they won't stretch. You want to own one of these. $14. If you're interested, I'll provide the link in the comments. Ask about it. So I've got 3 different levels here, small and medium. These are both category 1. The big one's category 3. I'm probably only going to bring this in if we're having problems leveling the deck. But these ones I use for leveling the legs of screens and for leveling projectors. So this is my Klein luminosity meter. Luminance meter, I can measure in foot candles or in lux. I'm going to be using this to try to find hot spots in the stage wash, which will show up as overexposure in the camera image, which we want to avoid. So we're trying to eliminate hot spots using diagnostics. Here is 2 Evolve flashlights I got for attending Evolve classes, and my little headlamp. You need sources of light. It gets dark back there. Sometimes you're digging around in a rack and you can't see everything, and you need both hands, not holding a phone. These Evolve flashlights have magnets on them, and they have a scope that can be angled. These things are super cool. Good advantage of taking classes at Evolve. Orbi router. I've got a router and satellite routers. So if I needed to extend wireless contact beyond Video Village, I could. This is an 8-channel Netgear switch for either my Stream Deck, networking on my device with the Stream Deck, or if we have inbound signal from a hard line, I need to route it to the Zoom computers, the vMix computers. I can provide network signal across the network. I've got another one of these coming in the mail to do basically one of each, but right now I've got one. I did have a 20 port one, but I left it on the show. RGB mouse. This mouse glows when I plug it in. I put this into my control laptop, so if I've got 10 mouses floating around on the on my V1 table, I know this one's my control one because it's the one that's lit up. I plug this into control so I don't accidentally hit something and switch all my looks when I think I'm on a different mouse. SDI, this is an SDI tool for getting in the back of a rack and properly seating or unseating an SDI cable that's hard to reach. When SDIs are clustered side by side, they can be very difficult to get in there, and you may not be seating them properly. This is how you, I go through with this and at least verify that every SDI is fully seated, and then it's a good way to remove them if you're trying to swap out cables for troubleshooting. USB keyboard, if I'm doing a lot of editing, I could break this out. to help type. It's easier than a laptop. It's USB, wireless. Gloves. You never know when you're not going to need gloves. Gloves are crucial. And one other thing, I'm going to step out of frame and grab real quick. Where to go? Alright, here it is. This is my 3-channel mouse. This is a Logitech 3-channel mouse. It can control 3 different computers. I can switch at the press of a button. Right now I've got my desktop on channel 1, my primary laptop on channel 2, and my backup laptop on channel 3. 3-channel mouse, very useful in Video Village to clean things up a little bit and not have a million mouses. Before I move on to the next segment of this, I've got a waterproof windbreaker if it's just sprinkling or drizzling. But if it's really coming down, I got the Frog Tog poncho. You know what I'm saying? You don't want your gear and you getting wet, and sometimes you show up to work and it's just dumping and you've got expensive stuff on you when you're wearing dress clothes. Nice to have some rain protection. I'm going to pause it on that before I move into the final section of this, guys. And so we're almost there. About 5 more minutes and I'm done with this. All right, guys, we're back for the final segment of this presentation. We are going gorilla mode on the selfie for the rest of this, since apparently I forgot to zip up my fly on the last segment, and there's no way I'm re-recording all that, so I'm sorry, you're gonna have to deal with it. So this is category 3 stuff. Here we have driver set, all different kinds of bits, hole saws, interesting stuff that could save Scenic's butt that stays in the car. There we have a pry bar / nail remover. You don't need it till you need it. This is driver for any of these nuts and bolts. Extension for a drill. A drill is part of my kit as well, but I don't know where it is right now. This is a driver for hard to reach places. This is a drill extension, probably for a rack. Hard to reach places in a rack. Okay, so what's next? This is a set of micro tools. Micro tools, you know, working a laptop, small connectors. These are all the specialty bits, so you don't strip out your connections. And it even has this cool little thing that's basically a flexible, bendable bit you can use to get into really tough places when working on a laptop or a computer. Speaking of that, this is all category 3 stuff. These are dibbers and dabbers for opening up a computer, magnetic pad, etc. for doing work on a computer. Here, this is my cable termination kit, anti-static gloves, cable terminator, cable cutter. These are RJ45 testers here. You can use to get pinout readings and see where the error is on a pin. You could test several cables and determine the problem is the port and not the cable. And these are some heads for Cat5 terminations. Another style of cable cutter. Cable terminator. I don't use this much in corporate, but just keep it in the car just in case. This is a chainsaw kit for sharpening a chainsaw. Why do I bring that? Because sometimes Scenic fabricates something and they have no way to remove the metal shavings, and I have the perfect tools out in my car to remove metal shavings for what they just fabricated. So there we go. This is all level 3 stuff, category 3 stuff. This is my tool bag. Here we've got a knee pad in case you're working under a deck or crawling across the floor. Various tapes, wet wipes, There's all kinds of sockets and wrenches and different things there. Here's a driver kit, high-end driver kit, carbide drills, carbide drill bits rather, whole bunch of fittings and adapters. My tool bag's super disorganized, guys, but here's a bunch of other wrenches, sockets, random stuff that I, may be able to loan to Scenic if they need it. This bag's got a stud finder, hammer, level. This usually holds my oscillating cutter, which is out on loan to Randi right now. But oscillating cutter can cut through plastic, wood, or metal, even steel. If I use the right blade, can come really in handy in a niche project. So I'm going to pause it there and move on to adapters. Okay, guys, we are in the home stretch, I promise. So I just wanted to start off. We're back to gorilla mode, handheld. Just wanted to start off. This is my little camera car I created. It barely fit this this dolly, so I had to gap the crap out of it to make it stay on. But I just wanted to admire that for a second. But let's get right into it. Kind of the final stages here, bits and bobs. This is a 3-pin to 2-pin Edison. Useful for sometimes troubleshooting whether the ground is where some noise is coming from. We got a 3.5 millimeter to 1/4 inch adapter, which is useful for reasons we already discussed. Here is a handful of SDI barrels. Here's a couple. These are made for cell phones, but I find they make the best tweakers. Even the smallest tweaker, like a perfect Q remote needing the dip switches adjusted, this will manage for. Here is a bunch of flash drives. Some of these are from Evolve. They give you one of these every time you take a class. I probably got a couple more floating around. These are always good to have for, getting files to and from a client. I mean, when we're talking about files, this is actually a high-end flash drive. I spent about $50 on this. This has a really high read and write speed. If clients sending me big files, I'm going to give them this. Probably in an exFAT format, so Mac or PC can see it. So there's that. This is nice for cable management now and then. Backup charger brick. Here's some more SDIs. Showed those in the case. This is a cool cable. It's got lightning, or you slip it off and it's USB-C. On the other side, it's either USB or USB-C. Really cool thing to loan to the audio guy when he relies on Apple products and he didn't bring his charger, and you did. 3.5 millimeter cable. Never know when you need it. 45 watt high capacity charging brick for charging devices at 45 watts, or that's a high power brick. I don't even know why I have this VGA to HDMI. I mean, I guess if I ever need it, it's, I'll mark it on my calendar, but keep it in the case. Here is a USB-C to HDMI, and it will port into Cat 5. Very useful. This is a DC to DC with a button. I put these in line with ATEM switchers, so you actually have an on-off button for them. Very cool. Mini DisplayPort to HDMI. looks like USB-C to HDMI, USB-C to HDMI or USB-C, USB 3.2 to 3 USB 3.2s and a Cat 5. I have a bunch of these. I like to plug one of these into every show machine, honestly. What's this? Another HDMI to USB-C. We've got a bunch of DVI to HDMI adapters. I think most of those are single link, but got a couple dual links in there just in case. And throw these out of the way. Here we have a ground loop isolator for troubleshooting noise in audio. Here is a mini display port. It has a VGA, an HDMI, and a DVI on it. That's kind of cool. Full display port, HDMI, USB extender, another full display port to HDMI, full display port to HDMI, and USB 3.2 to HDMI. Very cool. Add another port through USB 3.0 plus capabilities. And this is just a cheap little crappy SDI to HDMI converter. I don't even know where this came from. I found it in my bag after a show. So if it's yours, send me a message. I think it's Freeman's. I don't know how I came into contact with this. So that's my bits and bobs. Then just a quick little talk about cables. Some of this is category 1, some category 3. USB to micro. D-plug in case one of their devices is missing one. Figure 8 in case one of their devices is missing one. Audio optical cable in case audio's one is bad and they need one. Lightning cable. I don't own any Apple products, but Audio will love you if you loan it to them when they forgot their charger at home. This looks like regular USB to micro. Here's 2 USB-C to USB-Cs that are high wattage cables, can handle 45 watts. Looks like these are regular USB-C to USB-Cs. These are all USB to USB-Cs. It looks like they're mostly 2.0s. This is a 3.0 USB to USB-C. These are USB to USB mini as opposed to micro for niche camera applications or optical applications. Here's a DVI cable. Let's see, here we've got 2 HDMIs to mini HDMIs for niche camera applications. And these are, I believe, HDMI to micro HDMI cables. You have mini HDMI, micro HDMI, and full-size HDMI for niche camera applications. And then down here, these aren't all my cables. These are just examples of some of the stuff I bring. Here's a bunch of 12G SDI. Here's a bunch of Cat 5, some Cat 7, and some Cat 8. Couple Edisons, and a pile of shorty HDMIs. I have, that's all stuff that's either category 1 or category 3 stuff. I have a lot of other cables that I, didn't break out. I'm not trying to show you guys every single cable, but I can keep a nice amount of stuff in my category 3 box as a backup. If the event doesn't have it, I can rent it to them or loan it to them. But that is the long and short of my kit, guys. I went way over time. I think this is probably almost 30 minutes, and it's like 4 different videos. I'm going to stitch those together in Adobe Premiere. I did this all in one take, other than a little practice take. It was only 10 minutes yesterday. I did all of this today. So sorry for any bloopers or any lighting that wasn't great or audio that wasn't great, but I did this all in one take. I'm about to put the camera down, stitch this stuff together and post it, and then get back to my other work. But I hope you enjoyed this little interlude with me about kind of my kit and how it all interacts with what I've got going on at home and on show, my training and research and everything else. And so much love, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap at where it's at. And if you stayed with me to this point, you're the champions. You are the champions for still being here now. So thank you. And please comment or ask any questions below. Peace.